I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I honestly don't even know where to start, but I guess I'll just tell it straight. I was with Emily for about 3 years before I proposed. Things weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. She's fiery, bitchy sometimes, but I always figured that was just who she was. Strong-willed, smart, a little bitchy, but she loved me, or at least I thought she did. We had our ups and downs, sure, but I never suspected anything truly terrible. Looking back now, there were little signs. She'd get weird about her phone, always keeping it close, locking it when she was in the bathroom or if I was nearby. She'd cancel plans last minute, and her excuses sounded more and more fake every time. I remember one night, I came home early from work, and her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I peeked at the screen without thinking, just a quick glance, and saw a message from some guy named Jake. It was simple, but the way she reacted when I asked about it was suspicious. She snapped at me, saying it was a coworker from her new job just talking about work stuff. Yeah, right. The thing is, I wanted to believe her. We were about to get married after all, and I kept telling myself that maybe I was overthinking it. But deep down, I knew something was off. She started acting tense around me, avoiding certain topics, and I caught her lying about small things more often. I didn't want to believe she was cheating. That felt like a punch to the gut I wasn't prepared for. But then I saw her phone again, this time late at night when she thought I was asleep. She was texting someone, and I swear I saw a message that said, "Can't wait to see you tonight." That was the moment I knew I had to find out the truth. One evening I decided to follow her. She said she was going out with her friends, but I had this gut feeling. I waited until she left, then I followed her to this fancy restaurant downtown, and what I saw still haunts me. She was sitting with a guy I didn't recognize, but he looked like her boss. Mark. They were laughing, drinking, touching each other's arms like they'd known each other forever. I saw her lean in and kiss him, right there in broad daylight. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My stomach dropped, my heart hammered in my chest. All those doubts, all those subtle signs, it was all real. I didn't storm in or scream. I just watched. Watched her tell him something, then slip her hand into his. The way she looked at him, like he was the only person in the world that wasn't my wife. That was a stranger, a cheat, someone who'd been lying to my face for months. I didn't know what to feel at that moment. Anger, betrayal, heartbreak. It was like someone had punched me so hard I couldn't breathe. I knew I had to confront her soon, but I was also terrified of what she'd say, what she'd do if I showed her I'd caught her. Still, I couldn't just walk away without saying something. Not after seeing that. Not after knowing the truth. And that's where I am now, standing on the edge of this chaos, trying to figure out what to do next. When I finally got home that night, I felt like I was carrying a stone in my chest. Everything was spinning, and I kept replaying what I saw over and over. Emily, so close to that guy Mark, laughing and kissing him. How could she do that? How could she lie so effortlessly? I was furious, but mostly I was hurt, deeply, painfully hurt. I thought she was my partner, my future wife, someone I trusted. Turns out I was just a fool. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about ways to handle this, ways to confront her without losing my mind. I knew I had to do it the right way, though. I couldn't just burst in, accusations flying. I needed to hear her out, get her to admit it. And I had a plan. I decided I'd wait until she came home, then sit her down and ask her straight up what the hell was going on. The next day I barely functioned. Work was a blur, and I kept glancing at my phone, waiting for her to call or text. She finally did around late afternoon. Said she'd be home early, that she had to talk to me about something important. My stomach turned. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew whatever it was wouldn't be good. When she got home, she was dressed up, her makeup done, that fake smile plastered on her face. I looked at her and saw right through it. I told her I knew about her affair, about Mark, and how I'd seen her kissing him, laughing with him, everything. Her reaction was a mix of anger, denial, and sheer bitchiness. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and said I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. She called me insecure, said I was overreacting. She told me she loved me but needed her space, and that I was accusing her of something crazy. I couldn't believe her. Seeing her lie so easily, so convincingly, made me realize just how much she'd been planning this all along. She was good at lying, even to my face. After a while, I lost my patience. I told her I wasn't stupid. I told her I saw everything. She just smirked, said I was being paranoid, and that I needed to calm down. That's when I exploded. I told her I wasn't going to be the fool here, that I knew she'd been cheating on me with her boss, that she'd been lying right in my face while planning a wedding as if everything was perfect. Her eyes flashed. She looked like she was about to blow a gasket. She started yelling, saying I was crazy, that I was making it all up, that I was jealous and insecure. I told her I had proof and I was sick of her bullshit. That's when she looked at me and said, "You're overreacting. I don't know what you're talking about." It was like she'd already decided I was the bad guy, even before I said a word. I realized then that she was a master manipulator and I was just a pawn in her game. The whole confrontation was a mess. But the worst part, the way she dismissed everything. She made me feel like I was the one losing my mind, like I was the one who'd gone crazy. I could see the truth in her eyes. She knew she'd been caught, but she refused to admit it. That realization hit me hard. I started questioning everything about our relationship, about her. How many other lies had she told? How long had she been hiding this? And most of all, how could I stay with someone who'd lied to me so thoroughly? That night I didn't sleep at all. I was furious, heartbroken, betrayed. I kept thinking about what I'd do next. Part of me wanted to destroy everything, her career, her reputation, her sense of security. But another part of me felt just numb. I'd loved her so much, and now I was staring at the ruins of what I thought was my future. I knew I couldn't stay with her, not after that. The trust was broken beyond repair. I was already planning my next move, how to get out, how to make her see what she'd lost, how to make her feel the pain she'd caused me. But I also knew this was just the beginning. The fallout from this, I was sure, would be worse than anything I could imagine, and I had no idea what I was going to do about it yet. All I knew for now was that my world had been turned upside down, and I was just trying to breathe through the storm. After that heated confrontation, I spent the next few days like I was in a fog. I couldn't eat properly, barely slept, and kept replaying everything in my head. Her sneaky texts, her fake smile, the way she lied so confidently. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it sooner, how I missed all the signs, how I could have been so blind. Every moment I spent with her, those dinners, the wedding planning, all the little things, I kept feeling like I was living in someone else's nightmare. She stayed silent for a while after I confronted her, probably realizing she couldn't deny it anymore. But then out of nowhere, she started throwing tantrums. She called me insecure, accused me of mistrust, said I was crazy for even thinking she'd cheat. She told me I was overreacting, that it was nothing serious, just a fling that meant nothing, that she loved me and would never do anything to hurt me. The way she lied so effortlessly, it made me sick. She even had the nerve to say that I was trying to control her, that I was just jealous because I was insecure about my own inadequacies. I just looked at her and realized how good she was at spinning stories. She was a bitch when she wanted to be, bitchy, manipulative, full of excuses. She insisted the whole thing was a mistake, that Mark was just a thing that happened, and that she'd never do it again. I didn't believe her, but part of me wanted to. I wanted to pretend that maybe she was telling the truth, that it was just a moment of weakness. But deep down, I knew better. That's when I decided I had to get some space, time to think and figure out what I really wanted. So I told her she needed to leave, either her or me. I told her I couldn't be around her right now, not until I had my head clear. She argued, of course, tried to guilt-trip me, said she loved me and begged me to forgive her. But I wasn't falling for it. I knew she was trying to manipulate her way out of trouble, just like she always did. I wanted to break free from her lies, her bullshit, her fake tears. I told her to pack her stuff and get out. She threw a fit, called me names, said I was overreacting, that I was losing control. But I didn't care. I just wanted her gone. That night I stayed up all night, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. My mind kept going back to how I'd trusted her, how I'd believed she was honest, and how she'd been planning her betrayal all along. It made me furious to think she'd been lying to my face the entire time, pretending to be this loving wife-to-be while secretly sneaking around with her boss. The feeling of betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Over the next few days, I cut ties with her completely. I changed my passwords, blocked her on social media, and told my friends what was really going on, at least what I was willing to admit at that point. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. Every time I looked at her things, I saw the lies, the betrayal, the complete breakdown of what I thought was my life. It hit me hard, harder than I'd ever expected. The trust was gone, and it felt like my heart had been shattered into a million pieces. But as angry and hurt as I was, I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I knew I couldn't stay with someone who'd betrayed me so thoroughly, who'd lied and cheated and then turned around and told me I was crazy for even suspecting it. I started thinking about moving on, about rebuilding. It was the worst pain I'd ever felt, but deep inside, I knew I had to let go of her. I couldn't be with someone like that. Not anymore. The days that followed were some of the darkest I've ever gone through. Every time I was alone, my mind replayed everything: her betrayal, her lies, the way she dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. It felt like my heart had been ripped out and stomped on. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it sooner, how I was so blind to her true nature. I had loved her, believed in us, but it was all a lie. She was never who I thought she was. She was just a manipulative, bitchy woman who used her charm to hide her secrets. I remember sitting on my couch one night, staring at her wedding band. I'd bought it myself for her, thinking about our future, imagining what life would be like when we finally got married. That ring was supposed to symbolize love, trust, commitment. Now it just felt like a mockery. I couldn't look at it without feeling sick. How could I have been so stupid? How did I miss all the warning signs? The texts, the secret meetings, her sneaky behavior, all of it was right there, hiding in plain sight. One thing that really shook me was how quick she was to spin her stories. Every time I called her out, she'd switch it around, throw blame back on me, accuse me of being insecure or paranoid. "You're making things up," she'd say with that bitchy smirk. Or she'd act like I was overreacting, that I was just jealous because she looked good or something. It was infuriating. She knew exactly what she was doing, gaslighting, twisting the truth, making me question myself. I swear she's good at it. That's what makes it so damn hard to move on. I also started noticing other things, little details that made me even angrier. She'd start taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. She'd hide her texts or quickly delete stuff when I walked into the room. Her stories about where she was going kept changing. One day she said she was seeing her mom, then the next she was meeting some friends, but I knew better. I knew she was sneaking around, lying, planning her next move. And the worst part, she looked me in the eye and lied straight to my face like it was nothing. That bitchiness, that attitude, it was all part of her game. I remember one night, I finally decided to check her phone when she wasn't around. I'd never done that before, but I just needed to know the truth. I found a string of texts to mark, things I didn't even want to read. They were full of flirtatious messages, plans to meet up, and some pretty explicit stuff. She was talking about sex, wanting to see him, even being desperate for him. It was like a punch to the gut. All that time I'd been planning our wedding, thinking she was the one. Turns out she was already planning to leave me for her boss. That night I felt a mixture of rage and heartbreak really hit me hard. I wanted to confront her. Again, wanted to ask her why she did this, why she lied for so long. But I also knew it wouldn't do any good. She'd just deny it, call me crazy, or turn it around. I realized I was done with her lies. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when I knew the truth. She was a cheat, a liar, and a manipulator. And I was the fool who trusted her. So I made a decision. I was going to cut her out of my life completely. No more excuses, no more pretending. I started packing her stuff, telling her to get out of my place. I told her she was no longer welcome here. I wanted her to feel the weight of her betrayal, the pain she caused. I knew it would hurt her, but honestly, it didn't matter anymore. She'd already hurt me beyond repair. All I cared about now was moving on, rebuilding what I could from the wreckage she left behind. I've learned a lot from this. About trust, about manipulation, about how some people can wear the mask of love while secretly hiding a much darker side. No matter how much I loved her, I see now that her true nature was selfish and cold, and I refused to let her continue hurting me. The road ahead is uncertain, but at least I'm finally free from her lies. That's all I wanted, just to be honest with myself, to stop living in her shadow. I can only hope the future will be better, even if right now I feel like I'm drowning in the pain she's left behind. The aftermath of kicking her out was a whirlwind. I thought I'd feel relief, some kind of weight lifting from my shoulders. But honestly, it was a strange mix of emptiness and rage. Every moment I was alone, I kept revisiting everything: her face, her lies, the way she betrayed me so effortlessly. It was like my mind was trying to piece together the puzzle of how someone I loved could turn into this cold, manipulative stranger. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been played, used as some kind of backup plan while she secretly ran off with her boss. All her "I love you," her wedding vows, her promises, they now sounded hollow, like a sick joke. I kept asking myself if I ever really knew her, or if I was just too blind to see the real her behind that bitchy attitude. The anger kept bubbling up, and sometimes it was all I could do to stop myself from smashing her things, from tearing apart everything she'd touched. But I knew I had to stay calm, at least for now. In the days that followed, I started to focus on myself. I went to the gym more, tried to get my head straight. But no matter what I did, I still felt that crushing betrayal weighing down on me. It was like I'd lost a part of myself: my trust, my confidence, my sense of security. I kept thinking about how she'd planned all this under my nose, how she'd lied about loving me while secretly sneaking around with her boss. That realization made me feel sick. I kept replaying her words, her fake tears, her bitchy dismissals. I wanted to believe she was sorry, but I knew better. Sorry doesn't cut it after cheating and lying like that. I started talking to my friends more. They were furious for me, telling me I deserved better, that I needed to walk away and never look back. I was grateful for their support, but honestly, I still felt lost. It was like I was wandering through this fog, trying to find my way out. I couldn't even look at her old stuff without feeling a deep sense of betrayal. Everything we shared, all the plans, the wedding, the future, I kept asking myself, how did this all become a lie? How did I miss all the warning signs? And why the hell did she lie so much? I also couldn't help but obsess about the details. The texts, the meetings, the secret nights. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. She was so good at hiding her tracks, so convincing when she lied. I kept wondering if she'd cheat again, if she'd already moved on, or if she was still stringing Mark along. It was a sickening feeling, knowing someone you loved could be so manipulative, so selfish. I hated her for what she did, but I also hated myself for trusting her so blindly. One night, I decided I had to do something. I couldn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. So I researched ways to get closure, to heal from this kind of betrayal. I started writing everything down: my feelings, what I knew, what I needed to say if I ever got the chance to confront her again. Maybe I'd never talk to her again, but I needed to get this out of my system. It was the only way I could start to move forward. I wrote about the pain, the anger, the heartbreak, and the lessons I'd learned the hard way. Never ignore the signs, never trust blindly, and always look out for yourself first. Deep down, I knew I'd eventually have to forgive her, if not her, then myself. Not because she deserved forgiveness, but because holding onto this anger would only destroy me in the long run. I needed to let go, to accept that she'd betrayed me, but also to rebuild my life without her. I couldn't let her define me or control how I felt anymore. That realization gave me some strength, even if I was still angry, still hurt. I knew this was just the beginning of a long road to recovery, but I was finally starting to see a way out of the darkness. Now, here I am, a few weeks later, trying to pick up the pieces of what's left of my life. Honestly, I don't feel like I've fully healed yet, but I've made a conscious decision to stop letting her betrayal consume me. I've realized that I can't control what she did or how she lied, but I can control how I respond to it. I've started focusing on myself, doing things I enjoy, reconnecting with friends, and figuring out what I want from this life beyond the hurt and anger she left behind. What I learned from all this is that trust is fragile, and some people will manipulate that fragility for their own selfish reasons. I also learned that when someone shows you who they really are, even if it's ugly, you have to believe them. Ignoring the warning signs or convincing yourself it's all going to be okay isn't love. It's denial. The biggest lesson, though, is that you can survive betrayal, that you can pick yourself up, rebuild, and come out stronger. I think about her sometimes, especially when I see couples happy and in love. It stings a little, but I remind myself that I deserve honesty and respect, and she was incapable of giving that. I don't hate her, I just feel sorry for her. For how she threw everything away, for how she betrayed someone who loved her. I hope she finds whatever it is she's looking for, though I know I won't be part of that journey anymore. As for me, I'm taking it one day at a time. I no longer see her as the woman I was going to marry, but I see myself as someone capable of healing and moving on. My future might not be what I envisioned before, but I'm determined to rebuild it on my own terms. The pain will fade and eventually I'll find happiness again, without the lies, without the betrayal, and without her. This whole experience has changed me. I'll never trust blindly again, but I'll also never forget how strong I am for surviving this. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but for now, I'm just glad I'm finally free. Free from her lies, her games, her manipulation. And that's enough to keep me going.